my beautiful buds. Welcome back to my channel, Sprouts with Joy. My name is Joy, and if you like to talk about plants, well, you're in the right place. So today I just wanted to talk about the 22 plants that I would like to add to my collection in 2022. Basically, this is a wish list video, or an updated wish list video, because I've actually acquired quite a few of my wish list plants since my previous wish list video. So I figured I would give you guys an updated one for 2022. Now, realistically, am I going to get all of these plants in 2022? Well, some of them are a bit on the pricier side. So I'm gonna try to trade for a lot of these plants and, you know, be mindful about the way that I add them to my collection so as to not spend way too much money. But that being said, I mainly want to create this list to kind of focus and hone in on the plants that I'd like to get and be more intentional about the plants I'm adding to my collection so that I don't just spontaneously buy plants, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but there are definitely a lot of plants that I'd like to add to my collection, but I have limited space, time, and resources to care for them all. So yeah, this is just me being intentional with the plants that I would like to get this year so that I don't just get random plants that I like in the moment. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. So yeah. There are, in the long term, more plants than this that I'd probably like to get, but realistically, these may be a bit more achievable to get this year. Would I like to get a monstera, albo, or a Thai constellation? Of course. Should that be on my wish list for this year? No, it's not going to happen. Same with like a philodendron Florida Beauty, unless for some bizarre reason I'm not paying money for that this year. That is not in the cards for me. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. I'm going to scooch over to the side here so that we have a lovely little space so that I can show you pictures of what the heck I'm talking about. Okay, let's hide that little tag. It's unsightly. It doesn't fit with my aesthetic. So the first one on my list, it's an expensive plant, but I feel like I might be able to trade for it. The philodendron atabapoense, or atabapoense. I've heard it said both ways, so I don't know which one is the correct one, but you know what I mean. This is a plant that was on my previous wishlist video as well. I've been wanting this plant for a very long time. I think the leaves are just very supple. I love that the backs of the leaves are that reddish color. I think that the leaf shape is really cool. And okay, my cat is being so mischievous right now. Hey, being a distracting baby wife. Oh, you're getting into plants. You shouldn't get into plants, hon. This is Ginny. She's a sweet girl. She's very selective though. She has selective love. She's not very kind to everyone, but she likes Clay and I. But she's being a distraction, so I gotta kick her out. She's trying to get into my string of hearts back there, and I don't want that to happen. All right, honey, I know you're not happy with me. Anyway, the way that it grows is also kind of funky and all over the place, so I'm not entirely sure where I would put it in the long term because I feel like it can get pretty big and kind of take up a lot based on some of these pictures that I've seen. I really like that one. The next one on my list is actually a monkey tail cactus, which I don't normally go after cacti because in the few that I've had, I just get frustrated by getting pricked. And I know you should use gloves when you handle them and stuff, but I love to stroke my plants and that just doesn't really work out with a cactus. But I've heard, I think monkey tail cactus and like dog tail cactus are a little bit softer from what I've observed. Like obviously you don't want to go around like going against the grain of the spines because that probably wouldn't be very comfortable, but it seems really fun. I like the way that it grows out of the pot. I think it's a very fun, funky little cactus. And I think ever since I got my jungle cactus, my rickrara cactus, I've been a little bit more open to trying out other cacti, but I think I would be very selective about the cacti that I bring into my home. Also, Like the one time that I had a cactus, Ginny, that I was just holding, yeah, she was in a stage where she was bothering my succulents. She would like to like mess with them and pull leaves off with her little claws and stuff. I got a cactus hoping that she wouldn't actually touch it because it, you know, spines, but she ended up liking that cactus more than any other plant, and she would like bite it and get spines stuck in her mouth. And I had to get rid of that cactus because she was hurting herself. And I was like, girl, are you masochistic or something? Like, what is wrong with you? So I don't know if you have any insight as to why the heck my cat liked to chew on my cactus, let me know, because I truly don't understand what her problem was. But yeah, so that being said, I don't want too many cactus in my home because I don't want my cats to get into it, and I don't want to deal with the spines. But monkey tail cactus, I think, is one that I definitely would like to have. Ooh, this next one is alocasia lauterbachiana. Now, there aren't that many alocasia that I really like. Like, don't come at me, but I don't really love the look of like alocasia frydek or poly or, oh, my husband's gone, 1 second. Okay, so yeah, generally speaking, I don't prefer most alocasia, but something about alocasia lauterbachiana speaks to me. Honestly, okay, I'm looking at a picture of it just to like review it, and it might honestly be that more like reddish tone back of the leaf. But also I think that the shape is cool, the feel of it, like it almost reminds me in some ways of the philodendron atabapoense that I was talking about, where just the leaves look really smooth and elongated and they just kind of like stick out. But obviously, since it's an alocasia, it has a different growth habit from a philodendron. But yeah, I really like the look of alocasia lauterbachiana. I just think it's like sword-like and very cool. I like the ruffled edges of it as well. So as far as alocasia go, you know, I have the alocasia black velvet, and I would like the alocasia lauterbachiana. It's also, it wouldn't really break the bank either. I've seen them around the range of like $20, so that's nice. Maybe I'll warm up to some other kinds like the Regal Shield, but they definitely have the potential to get pretty huge. So I don't know, I'd have to be careful about which ones I bring into my home. I like it when plants get big, but I want to be selective about which large plants I have because I don't have that much space. So anyway, so yeah, alocasia lauterbachiana. So this one, I'm kind of like fudging it a little bit because I couldn't decide, but I would love to get another pink syngonium. So right now I have the Neon Robusta, which is, I think, like the most common pink syngonium that you can get, and it's just plain pink. There isn't really any sort of variegation to it, but I absolutely love that syngonium, and I would love to get another pink syngonium and expand my syngonium collection just a little bit and kind of round it out. Now, the options that I've seen, there's like the syngonium pink splash, which I've heard can be a little bit finicky, but I don't know. I like the look of it a lot. Or syngonium red spot, or what's another one? Syngonium confetti is another one, or even the milk confetti, although that one seems to be much more pricey than the other ones. There's another syngonium that has like reddish, pinkish, and white variegation. Because it's not coming to me. Tell me I'm not crazy. I don't know. I could be crazy. Also, sorry if it's getting a lot darker out. There's a snowstorm coming in soon, so it's super gloomy. And I feel like the lighting just changed a lot. But anyways. So, no. Red spot tricolor, is that what that is? Or strawberry milk? Those are some of the things popping up. I'm sure there's multiple names for it going around, but yeah. So any of those I would love, although obviously some are more expensive than others. I feel like the pink splash or the red spot or the confetti would be like, I could probably find any of those for totally under $100 for like a decent-ish size plant, but the other ones, like the tricolor or milk confetti, would be probably more pricey than that. So we'll see. But any sort of syngonium that has some pink variegation in it, I would really love to try. Now, admittedly, syngoniums sometimes do intimidate me a little bit because some of them have perished on me. They seem to get root rot pretty easily. They're pretty sensitive to how you water them. I've noticed, at least for me, they don't like to dry out all the way. But I've heard in some places, some people say that you need to let them dry out completely, but in my experience, they don't seem to like it. Like, they lose leaves if you let them dry out too much, in my experience. So I don't know. I think they can be a little bit tricky. My syngonium albo and my pink syngonium, the neon robusta one, are totally thriving. My white butterfly has kind of like gone in and out. And then I had like 2 random green syngonium. I think they're also just standard podophyllum, white butterfly, whatever. They are pretty much biting the dust this winter, and I think that they got root rot or something. They just didn't like the way that the weather changed or something. I mean, I didn't really treat them particularly differently from my other syngoniums that are thriving. So yeah, sometimes they freak me out a little bit. So getting a more expensive syngonium freaks me out just a little bit. Like, if you figure out what they want from you and you just keep doing that, it's easy enough. But sometimes they just go off the deep end and don't like you. I don't understand it. This one is definitely, I think this one might be one of the more expensive ones on this list. For sure. Maybe not the most expensive, but it's definitely up there. And that is the philodendron white princess. I think that this plant is absolutely adorable. I know that some people don't really care for that philodendron erubescens-esque growth pattern. Like, silver swords have this, the pink princess has this, and I think the white princess also has this, and the dark lord. I know of several people that seem to not really care for this growth habit, but I happen to absolutely love it. And I don't know, I think they can get gangly and weird depending on how you grow them. I really like it when they have support and they climb something. I love that they have a little bit of pink variegation sometimes along with the white. And I'm a pink lover for sure. So pink plants are right up my alley. And I would definitely be open to getting like a white wizard instead. But when I compare all of the pictures, I definitely gravitate more towards the white princess. I don't know. That's the one that I seem to want the most. It's also expensive, but I could probably get like a node or like a 1 node cutting or something, or like trade for it. And that is a philodendron splendid. And I love velvety leaves. I think that's a pretty popular statement. So there's that. I also, as the splendid matures, I really, really like the lobes and like how severe they are. And I would say one of the biggest reasons I'm interested in it is that, well, the splendid is a cross between the philodendron verrucosum and the philodendron melanochrysum, and both the verrucosum and the melanochrysum seem to be pretty temperamental plants from what I've seen and heard, whereas the splendid seems to be a little bit more hardy in comparison. And again, if I'm going to be spending a lot of money on a plant, especially since I don't have a grow cabinet or anything like that, or like a greenhouse cabinet, grow tent, any of those things, I've got humidifiers and grow lights, but nothing super fancy in my setup, at least not at this point. Maybe someday I will. And maybe then I'll venture into plants that are more temperamental. But for now, I want to stick to the plants that are gonna be a little bit more okay with ambient humidity, or like slightly higher than ambient humidity. But like, you know, I don't want a plant that will require 80% humidity to survive. So yeah, and not to say that they absolutely need that, but if I'm gonna get an expensive plant, I don't want a plant that's just gonna die on me because I don't know. I'm not really a risk taker. So I would like to go for the ones that are more stable, and the splendid seems to be more stable, and crosses are often just more stable. Yeah, I really like the look of it, and that way I can kind of scratch that varicosum and melanochrysum itch that I've kind of had as a plant collector and as a philodendron lover without, you know, taking on one of those plants. Okay, next is another one that was on my previous wish list, and that is the syngonium erythrophyllum. I mean, again, I'm wanting to round out my syngonium collection. Again, I love the burgundy backs of leaves. I absolutely adore any plant like that, just reiterating that fact. And I also just think it's such a unique plant for a syngonium, and the leaves can get like a little bit of a glittery sheen depending on your variety, I think. But they are so dark and smooth, and I just think that it's such an exciting plant, and I've been seeing more and more people get it. It seems to be getting a little bit more affordable, so I would love to get my hands on a syngonium erythrophyllum. Yeah, we'll have to see if I'll get it this year. I hope that I will, because again, it's another way to round out my syngonium collection, but also it's a plant that I think I would really, really enjoy taking care of and looking at, and it almost has like a gothic aesthetic to it, which, I mean, I like pink things and fun, bright things, but I also really like dark things. There's something almost literary to it. That's kind of a weird thing to say about a plant, but I don't know, that's just the vibe that I get from it, and I love it. Next one was also on my previous wish list, and that is the anthurium clarinervium. I have yet to have an anthurium in my collection that's not like the flamingo flower one, which I've just kind of had that sitting. I barely pay any attention to it, and it's just kind of surviving. But I am a little bit nervous about getting anthuriums without having a super humid setup or like a greenhouse setup or anything like that. But anthurium clarinervium seem to be hardier than some of the other anthuriums out there. And I just love the venation on the leaves, and the shape is so cool. And the leaves seem like they're really just thick. And yeah, I think if I were to get an anthurium, I would want the anthurium clarinervium, or this next one is the anthurium pendulifolium, I think is how you pronounce it. And it just, something about the strappy leaves, just, it's so fun. So I'd also be open to, oh gosh, what is it, like a vitarifolium? Yeah. So I would be interested in the vitarifolium or the pendulifolium. I haven't really checked the pricing on either of them. I'm assuming since they're anthurium, they're gonna be expensive, but I would love to try out one of those strappier leaves, just because, I don't know, I love the look of it, and it's something that I don't really have in my collection. Like, I don't have anything like that. So it would be a cool way to experience a different kind of plant that I've never had before. I don't have very much experience with anthurium, so it would be a little bit intimidating to get into, but those are the two anthurium that I think maybe I'll add them to my collection. Clarinervium and one of the strappier leaved ones. We'll have to see. Okay, it's getting so dark. I can't decide if I want to, let me see if I want to turn on this overhead light. I don't know if it will look disgusting or not. No, that's the fan. There we go. Does that make a positive difference? I don't know. I mean, now the fan is going. Dang it. Oh, whatever. Okay. Yes, this next one. Ooh, yes. Okay. So there are two syngindapses that I want to add to my collection. I, in general, love syngindapsus, so, okay, come on. Ugh. So honestly, if I see any syngindapsus in a store, I will probably buy it regardless of what this wish list says. It's just one of my absolute favorite genera. Is that genuses? Genera? My head hurts. Okay. Definitely though, I think I'll actively be looking for a syngindapsus silver splash. I have a hard time deciding between like the silver lady or like the silver hero, but I think that I most like the look of the silver splash because it's so silvery and the patterning of it is definitely pretty distinct from like the Argyrius and the exotica in my opinion. It's just different and it almost kind of looks like camouflage to me, like camo. The average person when they look at the different kinds of syngonium will probably be like, what are you talking about? But I see the difference and I like it. So yeah, I would love to get the silver splash. And then the other syngonium is of course a syngonium pictus exotica. I'm kind of determined to not buy these plants online if I can help it, just because something about the hunt for a plant in person is just a little bit more fun than kind of ordering them online, which obviously I'm not opposed to ordering things online, and it might be kind of fun to do like an unboxing from Ecuagenera or some sort of import or something at some point to get some of these plants, but I don't know. We'll have to see about that because that's risky. And as we already reviewed, I am not a risk taker, but I do like trying to find plants in person, and I feel like the exotica is a plant that I should be able to find, and there is one plant store that's relatively local where I've seen it, and I didn't cave on it right then, but yeah, other than that one store I just haven't seen it anywhere, even though people have found them in big box stores and their nurseries and stuff like that. So I don't know what the deal is with my area because I've only seen it in one spot, and I wasn't ready to bite the bullet and just to get it because I wanted to get my philodendron painted lady there, and I was trying to show some restraint. I'm definitely interested in the syngonium pictus exotica. Just, I mean, everyone loves this plant. Everyone loves it. It has those massive, just gorgeous leaves, and someday, but I absolutely adore syngonium, so yeah. Okay, next one. I absolutely love this genus as a whole, and that's the maranta. I love marantas, and of course prayer plants in general. That can be a little bit of a touchy subject for some people because a lot of people have had bad experiences. I mean, I've also had bad experiences, but I still love them, and I'm very stubborn. So I am still trying very hard to take care of them despite the fact that they've hurt me a lot. Maybe I'm the masochist and not my cat. So yeah, so the specific maranta that I would like to get is the maranta silver band. I already have the red veined maranta, the lemon lime maranta, and the maranta leuconeura kirchoviana, which is just the green one. So I would be interested in getting the variegated maranta potentially, but I don't think I'm ready to get it this year because I want to save something for another time. I still might get it, but we'll see. But of the marantas out there, I would really love to focus on getting the silver band, just because if you couldn't tell from my syngonium obsession, I really like silver in plants. I don't like it in jewelry though. I definitely prefer like gold jewelry on myself, but silver in plants, give it to me, please. So the silver band is just that crossover between, I already love marantas, and then if you add silvery foliage in with it, okay, yes please, give that to me. So yes, I will definitely be looking for one of those. They do seem to be a little bit hard to find when I was like searching for them online even, so you'll have to wish me luck on that one. I don't know if I'll be able to find it or get it for a reasonable price, but Lord knows if I see it in a nursery, it's going from the nursery to my house immediately. Okay. Okay, the next one, again, this one's kind of fudging, but I would like to get another epipremnum of some sort, just because I think that would be fun to see get this year. But I can't decide if I want to go with the epipremnum amplissimum and like get just a completely different epipremnum species that I don't have, or if I should get the epipremnum pinnatum variegata, or I think that's the name, yeah, like the variegated epipremnum pinnatum, which is like the same species of Cebu blue, but it's a different cultivar, I think. if that makes sense, because the Cebu blue is its own thing. The epipremnum pinnatum itself is also its own thing, but it's more green and plain than the silvery bluish sheen of the Cebu blue. And the variegata is the variegated version of like the normal epipremnum pinnatum. Does that make sense? That is my understanding of the situation. If I have it wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments. But from just the way that I've looked at things, that makes sense in my brain. So I've been a little bit hesitant to jump on the epipremnum pinnatum variegata train just because they're expensive, and we've got epipremnum aureums that are variegated and way less expensive, and they're both epipremnums, they look similar, but obviously the pinnatum has a very different leaf shape, but it's more expensive. So I don't know. I have noticed the prices dropping on them a little bit, relatively speaking, and I've actually seen a few become available on Facebook Marketplace, like locally. Of course, they're snatched up very quickly, so I'd have to be quicker on it, but I'm definitely very open to getting that. I think it would be fun to own one. I think that they're beautiful plants. I just have been hesitant. I wouldn't want to pay a huge price tag for it. So if I could even trade for it, that would be pretty awesome. The next one is the Monstera standleyana, albo variegata. And I like a lot of plants, so obviously I'm talking about a lot of plants here. But the Monstera standleyana albo variegata, I've heard of some people having great experiences with it and other people having less than great experiences with it, but I really enjoy the look of it, the feel of it, and I've absolutely loved all the other monstera that I've grown, like my Monstera Peru, my Monstera deliciosa, my Monstera adansonii, and my Monstera sylvapicana. Those are the other 4 kinds I have, so I love growing those ones, so it would be fun to add the standleyana to that little bunch and just, again, I love experimenting with different plants and seeing how they compare to other plants within the same genus and just seeing how they do in my environment. So it's just one that I haven't had any experience with, and I'd love to just try it out, and I think it's beautiful. Okay, so now we're getting into some Hoya territory for a few. So the first one is the variegated Hoya carnosa compacta, and I love the compacta or the Hindu rope or whatever you want to call it. I think it's so unique and bizarre. No other plants really like it. So I love that one. But then if you throw in variegation, that's pretty cool. Sometimes people seem to have more trouble with the variegated version of it, so it might be a little bit of a risk. And I know I don't like risks, but if I can find one for a good price, and some people have managed to find them in big box stores, which is kind of wild, but I would specifically want the variegata one and not, like the one with the variegation on the outside and not the monoloa, which has inner variegation, because, I don't know, to me the monoloa, don't hate me, please. But to me it looks a little bit sickly. Just for some reason, the variegation being on the inside just doesn't look right. It's still cool and beautiful, but I just prefer the more normal variegation on the outside one. So if I were to find one, that's what I'd hope to get. So yeah, the next one. So I already have a Hoya obovata, but I would love to get an obovata, like variegata splash. Just an obovata that has more variegation to it and that sort of thing. I mean, okay, I feel like everyone knows about Adams, or Not Dude is like his channel name. Everyone knows about Adams Hoya obovata variegata splash, and we all love it, and it's absolutely incredible. So every time I look at that plant, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you exist? It's a perfect plant. So there's no guarantee that I'd be able to find one exactly like that, but that is the vibe I'm going for. I just think it's stunning. There's not much else that can be said about it. It's one of those specimens that you just look at and you're like, how do you exist? Like, oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Like, how do you even exist? Like, that's incredible. Even within the same species, not all plants are made equal. So I would hope to find something like that. But even if I didn't, I mean, that would be fine too. But yeah, maybe someday. It's kind of like the holy grail of like, wow, these plants, yeah, it's just a beautiful plant. And it's inspired me to want to find one like it. But maybe someday, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll get lucky. Next, I would like to get a Hoya croniana, like silver or splash, or I don't know. Lots of Hoyas have like splash and variegata and da-da-da-da. I don't know. I just know what I like when I see it when it comes to Hoya. And this one I think is beautiful. I love the silveriness of the leaves. It looks like someone just went and sprinkled stardust on the leaves, which it's absolutely adorable. And the little leaf shape too. Like, I love that it's round and cute like the Matilde, but then it has a little point, like they're almost teardrop shaped. And I have a deep appreciation for the way that this Hoya looks. And I definitely don't like every Hoya when I look at it, like by any means. There are definitely a lot of Hoya out there that I'm like, I could do without it, but this is one Hoya where I look at it and I'm like, okay, yes, I like that a lot. Okay, we are on the finishing stretch. So next is another prayer plant, which I know, but I would like a Calathea rufibarba. I love that the leaves on this are fuzzy and long and like ruffly. It's definitely a fairly unique prayer plant. I haven't really seen one exactly quite like it because I'm definitely a sucker for those textured plants. But hello. Oh, you want me to repot that, right? Can you take it downstairs and I'll repot it in the basement.
Oh, it's hugging you.
Oh, that's my husband's office plant. It's an ivy. Oh, yes, it's an ivy, and it has outgrown its pot, and he's requested that I repot it for him, so we brought it home. Anyway,
his name is Clarence.
That's a great name. Latin. Okay. So Calathea rufibarba. I have actually seen a lot of these at my local nursery, or one of my local nurseries, and I've seen them at Lowe's. I haven't quite bit the bullet on it yet because there were some other plants that I wanted more, and I was like, okay, they have a lot of them there, so I'll hold off. So I've been holding off on getting it, also because I don't know exactly where I want to put it. So yeah, I have been delaying on my Calathea rufibarba purchase, but it's definitely one that I would love to get this year. And again, I love prayer plants, so I'm very open to getting them. I will get enough prayer plants for everybody. Okay, next one is the aglaonema chocolate, which as far as aglaonema go, this one is by far my favorite that I've ever seen. I generally like aglaonema. I only own one. I've thought about also getting the Silver Bay. I haven't done it yet, just because again, I don't really know where I would want to put it, but I think aglaonemas tend to be pretty underrated plants. But yeah, the chocolate in specific is just beautiful, and it reminds me of the Calathea ornata, which is a Calathea that I have happened to have quite a bit of trouble with. It was my first ever Calathea. I love the look of it, and of course I'll give credit where credit's due. Nick Pileggi is the one that put aglaonema chocolate in my mind. So honestly, him talking about the aglaonema chocolate has probably made it a lot more popular and more difficult to find. So I don't know for sure if I'll be able to find one easily or not. They seem to be sold out whenever I look at them, but I don't know. Maybe someday. I mean, just look at it. It's stupid how gorgeous it is. I love the coloring. I love the painted look of it. It looks absolutely delicious. Like, it's edible. Hence the name, I guess. But yeah. Okay. The next one is the Begonia lucerna. So I have a soft spot for cane begonia in particular. Terrarium type begonias, again, I just don't have the space for that type of begonia that's gonna be that finicky. So I definitely gravitate more towards cane begonias for that reason, and I tend to prefer their growth habit a little bit. You know, the angel wing begonias that are more okay with just above ambient humidity. But yeah, I think that this specific begonia is particularly beautiful. There are a lot of cane begonias that I don't have, obviously. I think I only have 2 begonias right now, and it's a begonia aerial and begonia maculata whitei. But the begonia lucerna, let me just get a picture so I know what I'm talking about. I really like just the itty bitty polka dots on it. You know, it has that very classic angel wing shape, but it's definitely different from the begonia maculata. Like, it seems more round, and the green also is a different tone. So yeah, I don't really have that much to say about it other than I like, you know, angel wing, cane begonia type situations. And that's one in particular that I would love to find this year and add to my collection. And next is the staghorn fern. My local nursery carries a lot of staghorn ferns, and they're absolutely beautiful. I love the way that they feel. And they're I mean, if you don't know, they're velvety to the touch. They're super unique, and I haven't done it yet. I haven't gotten it yet because I just don't know where I would put it. Now, I think that I would want to mount it just on like a plank of wood or something, but yeah, I would just need to figure out where I'd want to hang it up and stuff. And my mother-in-law actually is also interested in getting a staghorn fern, so I think it would be a really fun project for us to do together, to just go out, pick out some staghorn ferns and hoist them onto some wood and hang them up. I don't know, I think that would be a fun project to do together. So I haven't gotten around to doing it because I feel like I would need to get the supplies for it, figure out how to mount it, so that would probably be a whole video, to be honest. So if you're interested in that video, let me know. But I don't really know what I'm doing because I've never mounted a plant before, so it would be less me showing you how to do it and more you watching and laughing at me as I try to figure out how to do it. But it seems straightforward enough. In general, I love the concept of staghorn fern as well. I absolutely, like, deer are one of my favorite animals, so anything reminiscent of antlers and staghorns, like, I think it's really cool to have that as a plant, and it's so unique, and honestly, it's incredible that a plant like that exists, so I really appreciate that. In general, I've been less successful with ferns, but staghorn ferns seem to be kind of different from your standard like maidenhair fern or Boston fern or something like that. So I'd be interested to see how. But yeah, I just think they're so unique and fascinating, and I would love to get one. I just need to figure out where to put it in my home. Last but not least is a homolemina, if that's how you say it. It is a plant genus that is it feels like it's up and coming. I've been seeing it pop up more and more and more recently, like all over my Instagram feed and other YouTubers getting it and stuff like that. So it's definitely a plant that has been cultivated like more and more. And I don't know what specific species or variety of homolemina I would want. There are some really, really beautiful ones out there that are variegated. They are aeroids, I believe, so they seem to kind of closely resemble philodendron in a lot of ways, and they've got these nice pillowy leaves. So honestly, I don't really care that much which kind I get. Like, I would want one that looks nice and that I like, but if I can find one, I would love to jump on it. I believe that there was a homolemina at a local plant store that I visited recently, but it was labeled as a philodendron queen of hearts, and in the moment I didn't recognize it as a homolemina, even though I looked at it and I was like, it kind of looks like a philodendron, but that doesn't, I don't really recognize, what is that? And I'm pretty sure, walking away from it and looking it up, it's actually a homolemina. So I don't know, I could go back and get that one. I'm sure they'll start popping up more and more, but I'm interested in trying out a different genus. And in general, I really enjoy aeroids and taking care of aeroids. So any sort of aeroid that I haven't tried out yet, I'm definitely open to trying and sharing that experience with you guys too. So yeah, Well, I think that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, any of those things. That helps me out a whole lot. I would love to keep growing this beautiful planty community that we have here. So yeah, let me know what your wish list plants are for 2022. If you have any specific plants that you hope to trade for or purchase or whatever, I would love to hear about it in the comments. So I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye!